Morning.
Good morning.
When you make the choice to parent consciously, it often comes from a deep place inside, deep gut instinct or from the heart, and you've done a lot of research. It's taken you some time to come to this decision to parent consciously. And you know that it's right for you and your kids and the kids of the future. And then you may go out and be around family, friends, colleagues who don't think the same way as you, and then you hear words like, just be firmer, just be the boss, just send them to their rooms. These things that when you hear them, and then what do? Do you say nothing? Do you continue to have the courage to stand in what you know is right?
Yeah, that's why we're here, isn't it? To help the mums and support the mums that want to have courage to stand up for these choices. And Jo was telling me this morning about something she listened to where they were talking about boundaries and how when we first start to shift all our patterns and our programs and work on our triggers and all the things that really, like when this first used to happen to me, when I'd go out and tell people that I was homeschooling, and it seemed like nobody that was schooling, it seemed in that time, from my perception, that no one got challenged about that. But then when you brought up the topic of wanting to homeschool your children, then all of a sudden it was open slathered for everybody to ask you questions, and my heart just used to beat so strongly because, of course, I wanted acceptance and I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be understood. I'd put a lot of effort into my, as Jo said, into my research, into my decision, and and I could answer most of their questions, but it was this feeling of being misunderstood or unaccepted by the group that was really, really difficult. And so we want to like set up boundaries in the beginning. Can you talk a little bit about what she talked about?
So you were actually triggered in those moments
when
people were
so triggered.
You
I was
questions.
so triggered.
So
I felt so unaccepted.
Yes,
I felt like they don't like me. And back then that was like death. It was like death. I felt like, oh my God, I've just lost all my friends.
So in the beginning, we may need to set boundaries around these people who believe differently to us, because these feelings come up, these triggers come up, and we can set ourselves aside from those people while we work on the triggers, clear them up, and then we can be back in their company and they could ask you those questions again, or they could challenge you on your beliefs. But because you've worked on the triggers, you can now be in their company and be comfortable and no longer triggered, and you don't have to set boundaries anymore.
Yeah, that's so true. I always think about that word, boundaries, and it is a very good word, for that safe space that you need when you need to go away and start doing the work of releasing your patterns, releasing your programming, releasing all the things that are creating the triggers, which is what we do in our course. And we meet with the ladies every week, with the mums, and we work on where are these triggers really coming from? Where's the deep-rooted part of their own childhood? And we release and let them go, and they do. They all notice. Even last week, somebody said to me, Ilka, I didn't believe you when you told me I was going to feel peace, I was going to feel calm, even in the midst of something that would have usually really triggered her and she felt extremely guilty about. She said, I was okay. And that's the first time I've ever experienced that. And it was just incredible and amazing. So, the work we do gets to the deepest root cause. It really, really works. And like Jo said, then you can go back out. And Jo, you remember when you first were doing the work and you went to a family funeral? And you were like, and part of our brain can kind of tell us sometimes, maybe wonder what's, how is this going to be when I get there? But then you got there and
I'm calm, like nobody's triggering me. I even kind of inside went, whoa, this is a bit strange. What's going on here? And they like we say, and lots of people say, when you do the work, if you want to test how much work you've got left to do, just go to a family reunion, something like that, where all those triggers that can show up. But if we go back to your example about homeschooling and being with people and you being triggered in the beginning, so we may be in that environment and we think that it's those people and what they're saying to us that's the problem.
Yes.
But that's not the case, is it? So it would have gone back to your childhood. If you could give us an example of what it was that you worked on so that you could step back into that environment and be calm.
Yeah, well, it was places in my own life where I'd felt like I'd been abandoned and I'd been rejected, and that went all the way back to, believing my father didn't want to be at my birth, all sorts of things, which actually wasn't true. It's just something that I believed my entire life. This is very strange, and I found out the session that I did on that, the day after my mother sent me a photo. She'd been cleaning up something and she sent me a photo that had my dad's signature on it, of me as a baby at the hospital, and I'm like, was Dad there? And she goes, yeah, he was there. And I'd believed my whole life that he really didn't want to be there, and basically he was rejecting me. And so I had some huge rejection beliefs that I was carrying around, and these played out in my whole life. And I had lots of memories, particularly with my dad, where I felt like he really rejected me. And so probably a lot around me having a voice, me having my own ideas, me having my own opinions. I didn't see too many women in my life. They were there to make the tea, they were there to clean the house, they were there to, they weren't often asked for their opinion, and this was something that I really, funnily enough, I was born into a family where perhaps that wasn't valued so much, but I've learnt that this is a really high value of mine, to speak and to voice my opinion and to have a strong opinion about things. But there were so many things that I had worked on around that particular issue that I changed.
And that's taking self-responsibility. So that's what we talk about, that term, self-responsibility, a great deal. And that's about not making it about those people and their opinions and them, my perception of them challenging me by asking questions. But looking at what's inside me in that situation, and then making the links back to our childhood, clearing that up with the help of Ilka and some amazing questions and a supportive environment, so that you can step back into those situations again and feel peace, be calm, and feel empowered to speak your truth. And and it's miraculous and magic, and because you're changing things on the deepest subconscious level. So then, when people say things to you like, and we had a conversation in the call about this during the week, and that's mainly the reason that we created this post, is because this is what happens. People want to be peaceful parents, they want to be gentle parents. So then, they're out in public, say, and their child has a meltdown, and their way of doing, even our languaging around this is so, their way of being with the child, connecting with the child, because I was going to say dealing with the child, that comes from my childhood. We deal with children. So even to changing our languaging around this. So the way of connecting with the child is to be with that child in their emotions. And because most of us did not grow up where it was okay to be extremely angry in a public place, and our parents would have, and including me, I would have wanted to shut that shit show down kind of thing.
we talk about the shit show in a funny way on our calls, because the ladies come to the calls and they say, oh, it's been a shit show, but they're there to work on themselves. They're not there to blame their children. But what comes up a lot is it's the judgment of other people, saying, well, just, they'll go and tell a friend that story, that it was really difficult that day when their child was in a meltdown, and the friend will be just be more in control. Just set your boundaries. Just tell the child what to do. And this is not, if you're on the gentle parenting, peaceful parenting path, this isn't helpful, and it can really make you even angrier and feel less supported. It can make you feel like all your research and all the things you're reading, you can feel crazy. You can feel like your truth is not real. And that's probably one of the hardest things if you want to be different in the world and follow your own truth, is that often you're ahead of the pack, and it's a truth that isn't reality in our lives yet. But I will go to my grave, saying that the world, if everyone was untriggered, I was saying this to Joe this morning, if everyone was untriggered, like untriggerable, we were all independent, we were all able to really be ourselves in every moment, like that's the world I want to live in, a peaceful, harmonious world. And yeah, when children are getting angry, it's just their emotions, and they're just learning how to deal with them. But it's because we can't deal with our own that, and we, as gentle and peaceful parents, we know all this stuff. But it can be really, really challenging until we've shifted our triggers to deal with those other people in our life. Be with, work on, and we go away, we work on our own stuff, and then, as Joe said, you come back and it's different. And
gosh, if you're out and about and people see you be with your child in a different way to the majority of society, and watch how quickly that child moves through their emotion. Because children are brilliant at moving through their emotion really quickly if we can be fully present with them.
Yeah.
I didn't give this to my own children very often, but I see it in my niece and nephew when I can be present with them, and how amazingly quickly they can move through it.
Yeah, so true, so true. Such a good point. And Andrew's just saying that we're often actually challenging other people's beliefs. And I did, that's so true. I did realise that when I went, but I didn't in the beginning. In the beginning, I was so passionate about homeschooling. I'd read so much about it. The idea, the concept of it, it really clicked. Like I really got and the more I read about it, the more passionate about it I got, and I was so taken by the idea and how amazing it could be and how connected I could be with my children, and there was so many concepts that just lit me up inside. So in the beginning, when I was going out, I was kind of in that phase, and so it took me a while to realise that other people had not done any reading about that. They were living their lives, they were doing the best they possibly could, and they were, and perhaps they had other struggles as well. So when I would come out and be really passionate about something, I was challenging who they were and their particular lifestyle choice, and and that is why they got triggered too. You see, so I understand that now, which is how I'm much better these days at even asking people, would you really like to know about this, and really kind of feeling them out more. As back in the past, I'd just want to run away. Like if they asked me a challenging question, I would answer it, my heart would be beating, and then I just want to like go home and cry.
and also sometimes when you're at the beginning of the work and you recognise how amazing it is, and you've made behavioural change in your life, and you want to shout it from the rooftops. Everyone needs to know this, but not everyone is on the same path, and that can be really, really tough in the beginning. If you just know this, do this, You can change your life, but we need to be respectful of where others are on their life journey, and not everyone wants to be on this path with us. And if we could all be cool with where we're at, then the world would be an easier place to live in.
Yeah, and that is part of what we're really wanting for our children too, in the moment, is just to allow a person to be exactly where they're at. So it's kind of part of the philosophy. It's just that when you feel like disappointment or all of those things, which yes, are definitely from your past, they're not about the person in front of you. But I just didn't know that back then. So what I wanted to say about that was that this is how amazing it is now that we have this incredible technology called the internet, where I can meet with women from all over the world. Like I meet with women from Florida and Canada. We've got women in outback Queensland. Hello, Kristen.
Germany.
We've got Germany and Melbourne and country Victoria. And and people in, of course, all our beautiful Brisbane people, Tasmania. I'm thinking, I don't want to miss anyone out now. But all over the place where we can come together and share this passion. And that is actually what I learned how to do, which it wasn't until this morning I'm thinking what a great skill that actually was. I learnt when I started my homeschooling journey how to reach out to other people who were interested in the same things as me. And back then it was like reaching out to somebody who was organising a camp, or because the internet was still very new, but I could buy books, I could get magazines, I could read about the people in the magazines, I could ring them up and have a chat with them. And I started to expand my circle of friends. And that's what you wanted to say something about that, Jo, that you're not,
I'm remembering that when I started on the really the conscious living path, and I was terrified in the beginning and joined a group in the US because I didn't want to be around anyone. I was so scared to have my voice around.
That was a good choice.
This. It was a great choice.
Yeah.
It was. I actually made friends who I still keep in contact with.
Yeah.
But that was a very supportive Facebook group that was attached to the course, and I recognised the power of that, of being able to be in a group of people where I could hop on and share my real stuff, my real shit, and it was okay. It was okay. Nobody had to feel responsible for my feelings, or I didn't have to feel responsible for anyone else's feelings. You could just be you, and that is very, very powerful.
Yeah, and that's what one of our beautiful mums said to us yesterday, and it was really actually very, very touching, because she said, you and Jo are a safe place for us to land. And I thought, oh, that's like probably something that if I'd had that back then, and if she thinks that, then that is just like one of the most beautiful compliments that you could give me, because if we've created a space where people feel safe to share that this stuff is tough. It's tough to go against the societal norms and to make decisions based on things that most people are just like, what do you want to do that for? Like to make decisions based on a gut and a heart feeling that's really authoritarian style parenting, let's be honest here, is the norm in society. It really is. There's no two ways about that. And there are many, many changes that have to be made. Like fucking shit tons of changes have to be made before we are in a world where we fully accept other human beings for who they are. It has to really fucking change. But I will, I will advocate for this lifestyle for the rest of my days. And if you're interested in joining us to, on this journey, on this truth-bringing journey, is what I feel like it is. It's like just the truth of who we are is that we are peaceful, we are harmonious, we are like incredibly powerful humans. And if we can see and recognise and know that about ourselves, the world is going to be a totally different place. So that's the path we're on in this Awakened Parent community. And if you want to join us for our next course, it starts May 1st. Send us a message. How do they get in touch with us?
Yep, if you're in the private group, just comment below or send either one of us a private message. If you're on the biz page, just click the send message button below. If you're on the Instagram, just comment, and if you're on YouTube, comment. Or email us. There's many ways to reach out. hello@theawakenedparent.com.au, and we'd love more change makers, more challenges of the status quo, more courageous parents.
We love you.
Come on board and change the world, one relationship at a time.
Yeah.
The relationship with you.
Yes. It starts with you. And I said to Joe, like, it's kind of the things that we don't do in this group that are they show perhaps how amazing it is. Like, we really never go to fixing your children. We never go that way. Like, we never label them. We never, we frame that in the positive when we're normally speaking. We honour them, we respect them, we see, what's going on and how that's triggering you. And then we just work on that. And then miracles happen, change happens. It's absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's so advanced technology. This tapping that we use, the stuff that it's way ahead of its time, and people will catch up eventually.
Well, being self-responsible is sometimes very, very, very hard. It is much easier to look outside of yourself, blame someone else, something else outside of you. It does take courage. We say that every single day.
Yeah, it really does, and we honour every woman and man who come along and work with me during the week, do our course, and it's just so wonderful to keep growing it and expanding it, and we're going to work out ways that we can make this accessible to so many people. So yeah, very exciting. Oh, you love all our babies. I do.
And that's the most heartwarming feeling as a mum.
Yeah.
To have your kids wholeheartedly accepted.
Yes.
Thank you, Kristen. Pretty
Oh
cool.
my God,
hey?
so...
And yourself. When you turn up with behaviour that you might feel guilty about, or shame or embarrassment.
Yeah.
Full acceptance of all of that.
Yeah. We've been there, got the t-shirt.
I got a few t-shirts. How many did you get?
Lots. But the other side, of course, is peace. The other side is, the amount of crap that used to be going on around in here, that these days, I feel sometimes like my husband used to say, like, there's nothing going on in there, Ilka, and I'd be like, what?
Inside his own head.
Yeah. How is that even possible? Like, he seemed to be able to be really peaceful. He's been my spiritual teacher. It's like, wow, that's amazing. But, by letting go of all of these things and releasing them and knowing it's not my job to control other people. It's not. I'm here to be me. I'm here to live and be happy and be joyful. That's the only thing I have to do. I mean, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
well,
cool.
The control comes from a place of fear, needing to control other people or your environment to keep you safe.
Yes. That's where it all comes from. And we deeply understand that on the calls. So when you come with these things, we get it. We get where it comes from. And we've got the tools to shift it.
Yeah.
Get you back to being you.
Yeah.
Your amazing self that you came in to be.
So if you want to come on board, just get in touch. Any time of the year, we run the courses throughout the year.
Yeah, love to hear from you.
Get on board, baby.
Yes.
Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.